All right. Thank you all for joining us on What We Saw on Hard Knocks, episode 4. We know what's going to happen going into the episodes, but that doesn't make it any less painless, I would say. Let's go around the horn and kind of discuss our favorite parts of the episode, some key moments in your mind. Jeff Schneider, our executive producer, why don't you start us off?
All right. Well, obviously, the highlight for me was the voices of Luke Liddon and Lena Washington that highlighted the beginning with Luke doing his little off camera on the Sean Kugler firing, and then Lena firing questions at Cliff Kingsbury at the press conference. So that was good. Yeah, we knew what was going to happen and we knew how it was going to end. And what the lead up was to it was what was so disappointing because they made it seem like they were so optimistic, they were so positive, and everything else going in, and then of course the disappointment of the game. The thing that struck me the most was the D Hop Thanksgiving Day thing that he did for the battered women and at the shelter. We've known the story, obviously, of D Hop and his mom, but just to see the team kind of rally around him, to see Cliff and his roommate. I don't know what how we want to describe that, but attending that, the players coming out for him and with him, and what it meant to the people that were there, the kids that were there, the women that were there. I thought that was the most touching part of the show, and that really stood out for me.
Yeah, absolutely. UMON New Day Center is doing great work here in the Valley for a really long time. And the Cardinals do great work in the community really throughout the year. But obviously, D Hop has a very close connection with domestic violence survivors. And so that was really special to see. JV, our sports producer, who's busy watching Devin Booker drop a casual 50 right now.
Yeah, just a soft
Yeah,
50
what
right now.
was more exciting than that in this episode of Hard Knocks that you could bring to us tonight?
Let's see. My single favorite shot was JJ walking into the game with the bowl of cereal. I just thought that was funny. It just made me crack up. I don't know. I just thought it was fun. Got to give Jeff Schneider a shout out. He got a little credit there at the very end. Got his name on TV.
I didn't even see that.
But yeah, I mean, outside of that, I really like the Antonio Hamilton stuff. Him taking accountability for not going after that tackle in Mexico City. I mean, that was a mess of a game down there on Monday Night Football. So obviously, like, to see him take accountability for the one moment, I think was good. Even though like the whole thing, they just all need to move on from that game. It was a mess. Just forget about it. Move on.
Yeah, good thing is we got another Monday night showing coming up against the Patriots off the bye week. So hopefully they are able to perform better at home on national television because that has been a struggle. Stephen Perez with some seasonal decorations, just like me. Anything else that stood out to you from this episode, the fourth installment of the in season edition?
I think JV and Jeff kind of the Thanksgiving portion. I really liked that part. Whenever that he was talking to that one woman, she kind of was like freaking out like a little kid. Like I thought that was like pretty awesome just to see as well. And then the Hamilton stuff was awesome as well to kind of see him take accountability. But to kind of add an additional what hasn't been talked about is the like tight end coach going in and taking over the offensive line duties. I thought that was a pretty interesting um kind of way that they approached it and like how they showed like, hey, like I'm definitely out of my I know what I'm doing. I'm definitely out of my lane. My lingo is kind of different than you guys. Correct me if I'm wrong. Just kind of seeing them go through that transition was pretty cool as well.
Yeah, I like the features of all the coaches throughout the episodes. We get to kind of see their personalities, hear the language that they use with the guys, kind of just how personable they are with each other. I like that we got a little bit of an Isaiah Simmons feature. Obviously, he's been one of the more talked about guys when it comes to the defense's performance. He's had some key plays. He's also given up some big plays that we've looked back and have seen, obviously, that he was benched for a month. So that was something that they covered, I think, with full transparency. And obviously, the two big stars of Hollywood and Hop together. I think they made that whole performance cinematic as they could, given the outcome of the game. But I thought that overall they told the true story, I think, of the week, the short week, what they did for Thanksgiving. And to hear Kyler's comfortability with both Hop and Hollywood, I think was telling. I'm surprised they actually left out the schematically we were effed post game bite, since that was also trending after that game. I know it's a tight turn for them, but I thought that was a moment that I was expecting. Any other moments that you guys were expecting to see maybe from this episode, given what we know as people who are here covering this team every day?
Well, it seemed like there was some friction between Cliff and Kyler during the week that they talked about needed to be smoothed over, and they really never showed anything that would indicate that that existed. So that was a little bit of a surprise.
Sure. Yeah. JV, Steven, anything that you were missing? I know obviously we were left with a lot to be desired in previous episodes with the Eno situation, the Sean Kugler situation. Not a whole lot of drama, I guess, for Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to hear a little more from the O lineman just on that whole thing, just kind of like, what it's like to lose your coach in the middle of the season. And then also like maybe even it would have been nice to also hear more from the coach himself talking about taking over, a brand new role. And like I don't know, I think that would have been interesting. It was cool to see him in the meeting rooms and doing all of that, and then on the sideline, but to like actually hear them talk about, these changing roles, very unexpected, and then how it worked, because it did work. I mean, the O line played really well on Sunday.
Yeah.
So it would have been nice just to kind of like hear from the guys and from the coach and tight ends coach himself.
I did find it interesting that Cliff in the locker room said what I think a lot of fans and even media members have been saying is it sounds like almost a broken record. He said himself, it seems like I'm saying the same thing every week. So that was, I think, of note, because as we host Cardinals locker room and text team 12 messages come in, I know that fans, and some, guess what? Coaches get away with this. I mean, Bill Belichick, we're on to Cincinnati. We're moving ahead. I have no comment on that. We know that this is not necessarily new for coaches to repeat the same answers, go to cliches, same with players, right? We could do a whole package just on all the cliches we hear. But I think obviously fans are looking for a little more fire in that regard out of Cliff. We did get an F word out of Cliff, obviously in the game-winning drive by the Chargers. So that was a little spicy, of course.
Actually, I think he dropped it after the fourth down incompletion.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Interception.
Yes. The 4th and 1, the schematically we were effed. Yeah. Right. Yes. That was actually the moment. Absolutely.
They were effed, and Cliff dropped an F.
Yes. I will say another moment that I took note of, it was K1 and James Conner, who's been loosely featured, and they haven't really dived into his story yet, but obviously he's been a player that's found the end zone a couple times in these last several episodes. But Kyler said to James, that's that feel you can't coach. So obviously they have that connection as well. I thought that was just an interesting kind of message to send to one of your guys, your big time playmakers on this offense. Well, we know that the series will be taking a bye week. They won't be returning until December 14th. We will not be taking a bye week in terms of our coverage of the team. But I'm just curious. They have, 5 more games guaranteed, 5 more episodes guaranteed. I'm curious if there are any other stories or players that you guys would like to see featured moving forward. I'm all for the Steve Keim reactions and Steve Keim, a day in the life kind of glimpses that we get. And obviously any practice footage, because we actually don't get to see a lot of practice or those interactions as reporters. But that's just my personal, that would be something that they could satiate for me as a viewer. Schneider,
I
any other features you're looking for as an executive producer? Of
well,
course, you're always looking for a good
I'm
story.
looking for a lot of features for Sunday's Cardinals locker room. I can tell you that right now. But I think you hit on it. I think James Conner, obviously, his story and his battle with cancer and coming back on and leading the National Football League in touchdowns scored last year, and dealing with the injuries that he had to deal with this year, and now coming back and finally, showing what he's capable of with over 100 yards rushing against the Chargers. I think that will be an interesting story. And I think there's more to the Zaven Collins and the Isaiah Simmons stories that could be told. And I don't know if Trey McBride ever has a breakout game at tight end. He's got an interesting story. One thing I do want to make sure that we're all aware of, we found a way to keep Cam off camera. I think
He's busy watching Devin
that's the
Booker.
amazing part of this whole thing.
He's holding down the fort for all of Team 12. Steven, any features or anything that you would like to see looking ahead at the schedule, even the teams that they are going to visit, that they have coming to town? As a viewer, as someone who's here, what would you like to see from this series?
Yeah, I think James Conner, obviously. I'm always a fan of JJ. So anytime JJ could be more on camera, that'd be awesome. There was a glimpse in like the beginning when Kyler was playing, and in the background, like out of focus, you could see JJ come on with his USA sweater, and I was like, oh look, there it is. But I'm always a fan of JJ. I think now that Hollywood Brown's back, I'm hoping he could be kind of more of a bigger feature as well. But then you got like those other defensive guys that Schneider had mentioned, Collins and Simmons. I think those are really the additional ones. I just hope they show the rest of the season just kind of a little more like fiery passion from them. I felt especially this episode was a little flat in their energy level. Rightfully so. They've had a rough season, but
yeah, like you mentioned, I thought I liked the energy from Antonio Hamilton when he took accountability for his play in that game. And then again, you're always going to get a Buda Baker moment. So obviously his message to the group, let's be the group that we want to be. Let's take accountability. Let's mean it, put your pride aside and listen, understand it's just so we can get better. All of that stuff was, I think, passionate, which is who Buda is and what he does. But yeah,
Buddha is the star of this show, no question.
Absolutely. And we knew he had a great personality, but I don't think anyone necessarily expected him to be the face of the franchise and the face of this season, I would say, of in season. Definitely the face of the defense. There's no doubt about that between him and JJ. JJ's also good for like a good moment of levity, I think, in every episode. JV, anything else that you are left to want from this in season with 5 episodes left guaranteed?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see them in the next episode. Just kind of take a look at what the team's doing right now during the bye week. I mean, they're all off right now, so it'd be interesting just to kind of see that. I believe that the Cardinals got a trip up to Colorado coming up to Denver. I would love to see them go to Fort Morgan with Trey McBride. Take him to his hometown, show off this tiny little Colorado town. I just think that'd be super cool. I mean, obviously I'm from Colorado, so a little biased there, but like, I think that'd be such a cool story, especially since Trey was their highest draft pick this year. Yeah, I mean, those are the biggest things. And then also I want to see if they do anything with what's happening with Patrick Peterson and Kyler Murray right now. A little bit of drama brewing over a podcast.
You want to talk about drama. There is more off the camera, off the field drama surrounding this team. That has definitely been something to watch. Patrick Peterson is no one to shy away from how he feels about this organization since leaving. He's called out Steve Keim with our Cameron Cox. He's now taken to his podcast to, talk about Kyler and how self-centered he is, and Kyler has since fired back. And you know what? Good for Kyler, because he's been dragged for what he does or does not do on social media, and standing up for himself against a guy who was a former teammate who we don't know their actual relationship, but it was presented as if they were teammates, they were cool, and now they're not, and they have each other's number. Like Kyler said, I'm sure they do.
He called them big bro and mentor. So I gathered that they were somewhat close.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think Kyler said that before. I think Kyler's called him like a big bro before.
Yeah.
That's definitely something.
There's a lot of drama. But the only thing we have to look forward to is right now the Cardinals have the 8th pick in the NFL draft.
Absolutely. Yes. And, I think that this bye week would be good for them, at least mentally, to get a break, especially with everything that happened leading up to the bye week. It's been a long season for this team, and I don't think any of us expected all the things that have gone sideways to go sideways, but there's still time for more things to come up with this organization. And guess what? The HBO and NFL Films cameras will be there documenting it every step of the way. And we will be here recapping it for you after every show. Again, there's no episode next week, so we will have nothing to talk about next week in terms of content. But if you'd like to see what we got going on here in the Valley of the Sun, you can watch us on your Cardinals locker room Sunday nights after Sunday Night Football on 12 News, the NBC affiliate here in Phoenix. But for now, we will send it off so we can go watch the rest of the Suns game, right? We got one team that's winning in the Valley. We might be in football hell right now in Arizona, the entire state, college to pros. But hey, we got the Suns.
Yeah, we do.
Have a good night,
guys. All right. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in a couple weeks.